Well, hello. Let me grab a link to this so I can share this on Twitter. All right, so welcome to my live stream. Never done this before, so this is a brand new thing. I am going to show you some work that I'm doing on Congregation Hub. Let me actually go to Congregation Hub here and explain what it is right now and what I am hoping that it becomes. So, Congregation Hub is it started out as a prayer request tool. I just wanted a tool for our church that I could use for sharing prayer requests. And as I built it, I realized, oh, you know what? I've got to have people to make this work. So I added a people function to it. And then we were able to send out text messages. And so it sort of became a messaging tool. And then we started adding attendance just because somebody requested that. And we started adding giving tools. And by the way, when we say we, I'm the only person at Congregation Hub. It's just me. It's just Ryan Hayden. I'm a pastor at Bible Baptist Church in Mattoon, Illinois. Um, I done all of the coding myself, and this is just my pet project, if you will. Well, after a while, Congregation Hub sort of turned into a church management system. Um, which is a whole other level of stuff, but it was sort of tacked together. And so I have decided that over the next 6 months, what I'm going to do is I am going to rebuild everything from scratch. And my goal is to do it in such a way that it becomes a great church management system. And I want to share sort of I want to share my inspiration for this. So my inspiration for this is absolutely Basecamp. Okay, Basecamp is a program that's been around forever, like 20 something years, made by Jason Fried and DHH and the people at, I think it's called 37 Signals is the name of the company. And we used this when I had a development company, and I loved it. I just absolutely love Basecamp. It's very simple. It kind of leans on being simple. And so what I wanted to do is I want to make a Basecamp for churches. I want to make a simple church management app that churches can sign up for. That's extremely inexpensive and usable for regular churches. And so I have been working on this in Excalidraw. Excalidraw is this really cool program that works inside Obsidian. I'm a big Obsidian user. I type all my sermons and whatnot in Obsidian. But Excalidraw is basically a drawing tool tacked into Obsidian. And I made, let me see if I can find this here. I made this. I made this and shared it this morning, and I got a lot of people that seemed interested in this. So this is kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that eventually, what we're going to have is we're going to have a hub sort of page that pastors see, where they can see, hey, this is my attendance from this week. This is my attendance from the main service, and inside that, they'll be able to see this is how we've done. Over the last several weeks. This is how this compares to our attendance from last year. And so they can just have that kind of data. Somebody has suggested also financial data. So this is the giving this week compared to the giving last year. And so we'll probably work on that as well. I think another thing that would be cool to have as a pastor, it would be cool to have a place where you can see the people that visited. And to make this work, obviously you have to have people in your church that's collecting this information. But you can see the people that visited so that you can follow up with them. You can click, hey, welcome, send them a message, send them a text message. Hey, this is Pastor Hayden. Thanks for coming to our church. Do you have any questions? That kind of thing. Okay. And then I also think if you're going to track attendance, Something I've never seen, but I think would be really cool, would be to have a way to see these people come regularly, but they've missed for a week or they've missed for 2 weeks. And it's just something that you can kind of keep a check on and make sure that people don't fall through the cracks. Maybe you have an older couple and they have health issues and they're not the type of people that would reach out to you and say, hey, we're struggling right now, but they missed for 2 weeks in a row and you're like, oh, I need to check on those people. And so having that on your dashboard automatically would be amazing. Because we're taking prayer requests and using this tool to manage prayer requests, I think it'd be cool to have the most recent prayer requests that have been requested for the church. Another thing that I think would be really neat would be there's this book that I've read that I really enjoyed by Brian Croft called The Pastor's Ministry. And in that book, he advocated for praying through your church feed, just taking your church, breaking it up into a manageable thing where you can pray for everybody in your church, in a week or in a month or however you want to do it. And so have that so that you have a list on your dashboard. Hey, these are the people I need to pray for today. The other thing is, what about people in the church that have big things going on? Maybe it's a birthday, maybe it's an anniversary, maybe there's a funeral in their family or a graduation, anything like that you as a pastor feel that you need to be a part of. You need to, at the very least, send a note. Maybe people in a hospital, just having that sort of on your dashboard, I think would be awesome. And then finally, I really want this to be a project management tool as well as a church management software. And so, churches have projects. You could say that every service is kind of a project. And the way that I'd like to think about that is assignments. These are the things that are assigned to me. I'm assigned to preach on Wednesday night. I'm assigned to teach the adult Sunday school class next week, et cetera, and have that list on my screen. Maybe also somebody suggested a way to add notes quickly for the service. And, you think of something, hey, yesterday during the service, there was a problem with the microphone. We need to get that figured out before next week, that kind of thing. So this is where I'm headed. It's pretty crude right here, but this is sort of the goal. All right, so let's talk about this. This is a user journey map. This is something that we would do in my old company in a conference room, very often on the wall with sticky notes. And basically what it is we have our stakeholders. Let me zoom in here a little bit. We have our stakeholders here on this side. And then our goal is this. Our goal is to get to the point where a church is registered and they're set up. And so I was working on this morning. Okay, so you have an admin user, a pastor, most of the time, right? They're registering for Congregation Hub. They go to the registration page. They put in some basic information about their church. I can show you what that actually looks like. What I have so far, at least, I can go to hub2.test/register. So you can put in some basic information about your church. So let's say I'm John Doe, and I'm going to do Ryan. Now, so far, I've set this up without passwords because I'm just sick of passwords. So right now, this sends an email with an email link, and that's how you log in. I could see if you don't keep email on your phone and you want to use it on your phone, that might be a problem. But that's neither here nor there. Let's say Peoria, Illinois. I've never been to Peoria. I lived in Illinois for 13 years. Never been there. So just anyways. And then one thing I think is cool is from the very get-go, you can set the color and the font for your church. And so let's say I want my church to be purple. It's kind of weird. And then for the accent font, let's say I like Caveat. And you can see right there from the get-go, we have these different things. So sent a link. I can go to my email. Hopefully nobody sent me anything bad. There we go. There's my link. And I am now logged in to that church. I think this should say Example Church. So I got to fix that. But this is a working app. This is where I'm at so far. But back to Excalidraw. So the idea is people register for a Congregation Hub. Now, here is the system. What has to happen? Well, I have to create a church. I have to set up the church time zone because we're going to be doing things that are time things. So that's where the city and the state comes in. That's one of the reasons for that. We have to create a user. That would be the admin user, and make sure that that user is set as the admin. Then we have to send that user the login email. All of this stuff just happened behind the scenes. And then you would open your email and click the email button. You would see a welcome video. Obviously, don't have that yet, right? But a video that sort of introduces Congregation Hub. You are prompted then to add people. Again, obviously this is not done. This is what I'm working on next. And then you'd get to either add people via a form where you're adding people one by one, or via CSV upload, which would be like you go to Microsoft Excel and you have a table of all your people, or maybe you have an old tool like you use Breeze or Avanto or Planning Center or something like that, and you want to download all of that content. It's going to come out as a CSV, comma separated value, and you can upload that to the tool. All right. You can choose which people are going to be your users. So this is going to obviously require that they have an email because that's how they sign in. So you have their email address. You can say, hey, I want this person to be just a person that we're tracking, but this person, I want them to be able to add prayer requests and be a user, and maybe even say, oh, this person, I want them to be an admin. I want them to be in charge of this or that. Okay. And then what happens next, right? At that point, you have people signed in. What happens next? And this is what I'm trying to think through. Okay, so for each person, obviously, we're going to create a person in the database for them. We're going to create a user attached to that person. And then we're going to send a login email to each new user. Okay, so they'll get, oh, hey, I got invited. They click the email. They are now a user of the app. And every time they go to Congregation Hub, they just put their email in. It says, and then logged into the church there. And they're taken to the feed. Okay, so what's the feed? Let me talk about that for a second. So one idea I had here is that you have something that's kind of like Facebook, right? And the current version of Congregation Hub kind of works like this. But my idea is, I think this is it. No. Okay, so my idea is something kind of like Facebook, where you have a running feed of posts. So Facebook, Twitter, right? And those posts are going to be one of several different kinds of things. They could be a prayer request that either the church has put out or people have added themselves. Okay, it could be an announcement from the church. We're not having services this week because of snow, or we're going to be needing people to bring various items to the potluck on Sunday. Any kind of announcement like that. It could be an event. So I'm going to add an events feature where people can add, next month we have missions conference, and there's a page there that people can open up and they can see that, and that's on their feed. And the other thing would be sermons. If you record your sermon, you can post that on the feed and people can discuss that. So underneath each of these things, people will be able to comment or be able to like the thing. So if it's a prayer request, maybe we'll change the like to praying for you or something like that. But people will be able to comment, and the person that created it should get notifications of these comments. And the idea is something private for your church that is like Facebook, but not Facebook, right? We just want a place for that you are in control of as the pastor, where people can communicate and all of these things can be there. Now, eventually, this is going to be tied into the website. So your events is going to be your events calendar on your website if you use us for websites. The prayer request You know, people can sign in and they can access that on the website as well as here. Same thing with sermons. Okay. So, man, I'm talking a lot. All right. So back to here. What I'm trying to figure out now is, okay, so after they set up people, that's obviously the most important thing that the church needs. The next thing they're going to need is to set up their services. Okay, so I guess what I want to do here, I'll just move these things over here. So our goal at the end of this is to get to the point where service schedule is set. The recurring service schedule is set, okay? And so what do we need to do? We need to say, okay, question. When or what day of the week is your services, your main services? And then we're going to default to Sunday because we're Christians, right? All right. So what day of the week is the service? All right. So they'll answer that. And then the next thing that they will need to do is how many services? What do you call your main? Let's say this. What do you call your main service? Okay, so we want to set the main service, which would be the main Sunday morning service, the thing that on that dashboard you're going to be tracking. Okay, so what do we call the main service? All right, and then do you have on that day? Okay, I guess the next question would be, let's see, do you have any other recurring services on other days? And then we could say, all right, add a day. And then add services to that day. And then finished or add another day. Okay, so our goal at the end of this is for the database to save recurring services. Okay, so we want data about recurring services, right? Save data for recurring services. Okay, and then what we're going to have to do is each week, or maybe each day, we'll do this. We'll say each day we're going to sort or see if there are any recurring services that day, and create a service. Okay, so the idea is these are the recurring things that happen every week, and the system needs to create that service every day, or maybe, I don't know, maybe it needs to be not every day, maybe it needs to be every week at the beginning of the week. So let's just throw in a sticky note here and throw that note in there. Or maybe the month. So you're looking ahead and you can work. I don't know. Maybe we need to set that up beforehand. But a lot of stuff to think through here. All right. All right. So now I'm thinking we have the services set up. We know the days of the service, and we know which service is the main service for the church wants to track. But that service is probably going to have a template that needs to. So maybe maybe the user is then taken to a redirect to recurring services screen. And then like maybe that user needs to set up a template for that service. Okay, prompted to set up a template for each service. So maybe we need to mark that the services are there, but they're not finished yet. So we need to do, mark each service as finished or unfinished, based on whether or not there's some kind of a template for that service. And what I mean by template is like, an order of service of things that need to be accomplished for each service type. All right, so this is the kind of thing that this is not programming. This is just planning, design. This is the kind of thing that I got to do a lot of in the next month. I don't even know if anybody's watching this. I don't think that they are, but let's close this for now. I think we've done